Dear viewers, welcome to the next episode of the Mentor of the Month. The Mentor of the Month for the month of October is one of the founding fathers of the BCICI as we know it today. But I don't think I'm qualified to make an introduction about him because I was not there when he was a chairperson. So let me introduce someone. Let me request someone who is a very close friend of the Mentor of the Month, CA Surender Jain. He was his best friend and he has worked with him in the committee. So may I invite CA Sushil Jain to give a brief introduction about CA Surender Jain.
Thank you, Ajay. I am extremely happy and privileged today to introduce my dear friend, Mr. Surender Jain, as our chapter's Mentor of the Month. Surender not only led our chapter during its infancy and struggles, but also left his footprints to the grandeur of our chapter today. Whatever success, shape, size, and recent name BCICAI has seen in Bahrain is only due to the hard work, dedication, zeal, and foresightedness of all our past chairpersons, including Surender. Because during those times, not only we didn't have any sponsors to back us, but even it was very difficult to find our members and convince them to join the chapter. Surender has rendered commendable services as a professional to the Ministry of Health, Government of Bahrain for a number of years as their Chief of Financial Affairs. He is truly considered as an asset by the ministry, due only to his capabilities, mentorship abilities, and leadership abilities could he survive and thrive in a government department for such a long period of time as Chief of Financial Affairs. On personal front also, my friendship with Surender goes back to decades old. During these times, I have always had an amazing experience of him as the most positive and supportive person and a true friend. We discuss almost everything in our life with each other, and at times I lean on his advice and guidance in my personal life. I am happy to note that in most of the cases and almost in 100% cases I have followed his advice in my life. I am very proud to say, as a devout family person, Surender has been a motivator, leader, and led by example not only to his family but to a lot of our group of friends. During tough times, I would listen something in Hindi from him. He will always say very positively, "दिक्कत क्या है यार?" और alternatively हिंदी में बोलेगा, "हो जाएगा यार, परेशानी क्या है यार?" So positive he has always been. While thanking him for his support, advice, and guidance, I pray to Almighty God to abundantly bless him with for his kindness and big heart with all the blessings. With these words, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Surender Jain, a role model, a leader, a mentor, a person who has led by example, and a very positive person as our chapter's Mentor of the Month, and request our chairman, CA Ajay, to take the proceedings further, and I am sure our members will immensely benefit from this interaction with Mr. Surender Jain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sushil ji, for that fantastic introduction. I'm very happy to introduce and welcome CA Surender Jain to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay, for having me.
Sir, my very first question that I ask everybody, please just take us through the memory lane, your life journey so far.
Certainly. Life has been good. God has been very kind and generous. And of course, with the blessings from parents, family, and good wishes from friends and colleagues, I consider myself as extremely fortunate to have come this far. I actually grew up in a city called Chandigarh. I don't know, most of you may have heard of this city. It's a union territory and capital city for Haryana and Punjab, a small city. All my schooling as well as chartered accountancy I did in Chandigarh. I was fortunate to pass both intermediate and final exams in the first attempt. And thereafter I worked first at Chandigarh for HMT. And then I went to Pune, worked for Kirloskars. And then I had a small stint in Iraq as manager finance for a construction company. And Thereafter, in 1987, I got married to Sharmila, who is by profession a teacher, and she is currently a coordinator at the Indian School Bahrain, Rifa. Both our children were born here in Bahrain, and they went to USA for their undergraduation. By God's grace, both of them are now working in the US. They are both software engineers. Elder one, Sahil, is working for Google, and the younger one is Kshitij. He is working for PayPal. And I'm thankful to God for giving me such a lovely family. I came to Bahrain in 1985, and Sharmila joined me in 1987, and that is the year when I got married. As I said, after coming to Bahrain, I did a job at Marina Club first. That was until 1990. And in 1990, I joined the Ministry of Health. And I have been working with Ministry of Health ever since. I am glad that I have been able to contribute, although in a small way, to the, direction and various things at Ministry of Health. I am also working with Supreme Council of Health on a national health reform project called Sehati, and going forward, my work is going to be more with the Supreme Council of Health, and the focus will shift from Ministry of Health to Supreme Council, and this is going to happen from October. So that is what I would say about my life journey so far. I don't know, I have tried to cover most of the things that I could think of.
Right. That was an interesting life story. That's a long life story as well. But now let us listen from your better half, Mrs. Sharmila Jain. Let's hear what she has to say.
Surender, a very good husband, very good father, very good son, and extremely loving and caring. He is very honest, very kind-hearted, very sincere, reliable, and very well liked by his friends and colleagues. He has a great sense of humor. But one thing stands out. He is extremely forgetful. He needs to be reminded constantly. He keeps forgetting things. His mother told me one of the incidents from his childhood. When he was small, she asked him to bring milk and couple of things from the market. So he took his bicycle and went to the market. He met his friends there. He was enjoying with them. Anyway, he came back home with so many bags and milk in his hand. And guess what? He left his bicycle in the market. Both his parents scolded him. And till today, he is the same. He has not changed. He keeps forgetting dates. He keeps forgetting things. And I can prove that to you. Let me ask you, do you remember when did we meet first? What was the first time when we met? Can you tell me that? I'm sure he will not remember.
Sir, now you have to answer the question that she has asked. Please tell her. Do you remember?
No. Unfortunately, no, I don't. And I accept I don't remember.
Back to you, ma'am.
Look, he doesn't remember that. I told you.
I remember the year, but I can never remember the date or the month. No, sorry.
It was 12th April. Before I forget, let me thank Ajay for giving me the opportunity to express my views. Chapter has become a part of our family since year 2000. Since then, year after year, families are involved in various social programs conducted by the chapter. A special thank you to Ajay once again for conducting various programs virtually, especially Taste of India, where many families are involved and they are really having fun, they are really enjoying. Especially I am also enjoying so much. Thank you, Ajay, once again, and wish you all the best.
That was a very interesting interaction with Sharmila ji. Now, my next question, sir, you are a long-time resident of Bahrain. Please, can you recall some incidents or things about Bahrain from the time when you came, which I think most of our viewers who are new or who came in the recent years would not know about?
Oh, so many things. I'm sure, there are a lot of people here for a long time, but, just to give a perspective, Bahraini dinar used to be 35 rupees
Wow.
when I came here.
Amazing.
Now it's about 200 rupees. I used to call my fiance in India, it used to cost 650 fills per minute. So your telephone bill was a major cost. No free calling as you have now. There are no malls, no hypermarkets, no shopping complexes. There is a place called Kuwaiti Building. That was the only shopping complex.
Which is now demolished, I
Which
think.
is now, I think, demolished. And long years, many years ago, it was abandoned. No multiplexes. Alhambra and Awal Cinema were the only cinemas where we used to go and watch movies. Ashwaq Awafi, this big supermarket, this was the first supermarket or hypermarket that was opened in Bahrain, 1992. There was nothing before that. These Al Jazeera small supermarkets. So in Bahrain, a lot of things have changed. There was no cable TV.
Right.
Bahrain did not have. Every Wednesday we used to wait for the Indian movie to be shown on Bahrain TV. Every Wednesday there used to be a Hindi movie. So that was the only thing on Bahrain TV. But something happened in 1990 at the time of Gulf crisis. It was a major change. The cable TV came to Bahrain, CNN, BBC, all these things, were started. That was something, a major thing that happened. I don't know, some of your viewers may not have been here at that time, but that was a really, really seriously bad time, many months of this. And then, of course, it resulted with liberation of Kuwait.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think many of my team members, young team members, were probably not even born when the time that you were talking about. So my next question to you, sir, is please tell us something interesting about yourself, which maybe, let's say, not many people know about. Any special skills, any personal interests hidden from public view, so anything that you can enlighten our viewers.
Well, I don't think there is anything hidden from public eye, but there's something I would say about you, Ajay, which not many people may know. You recall that incident in, when we went to Russia with the chapter family members, everybody. And in one of those, theaters, the Russian troupe, they invited you to come and dance on stage with them, and you did really well. I was very happy, quite surprised to see those skills. But on my part, no, I don't think there is anything. It's just like that.
Excellent. So my next question is, like I said, I was at the beginning of the session that Surender ji was one of the founding fathers of the BCICAI as we know now. So just maybe if you can just briefly run us through the origins of BCICAI, the current BCICAI.
Yes, certainly. On the initiative of Kalyan Raman and some of the other senior members at that time, the chapter was revived because chapter had existed before, but it had been dormant for many years. So what we did is, on again initiative of Kalyan Raman, we called for a meeting and asked members to join us in a place, Karnataka Club. The plastic chairs. Mm-hmm. Tea was served in plastic glasses. I'm just trying to give you, an indication of how things were at that time.
Right.
Things were nothing like what we have today or what you and your other committees have done. So we met there, and then from there we took it, forward and started working on establishing the chapter. And that's how the chapter was established. There was no place to meet. So we used to take turns, sometimes in my house, sometimes in someone else's house. And that's how we used to meet. And that's how the chapter came into being in those days. That was a long, long time ago.
Wow. And we can't even imagine how we started, but we are very glad that you laid the foundation to BCICAI, and we have been growing from strength to strength over the years. Thank you, sir, for that. Also, maybe if you can give us some fond memories of your time as a chairperson.
Yes, certainly. It's all hard work, as you all know. But I was quite fortunate to have a great team in the executive committee, So, so that makes a big difference. Fundraising was always a challenge. Finding sponsors used to be so tough. I still remember our flagship program used to be the budget talk. And when I went to our main sponsor requesting money for this event that year, it was difficult for me to get 1,500 BD as the main sponsor. So life was tough from that point of view. But we managed, we kept our expenses down and we managed to put out whatever programs were possible. One of the things I remember was that we, brought in silk ties from Delhi, especially for our chapter, and they were, customized for the Bahrain chapter. And these ties were, we provided to all our members. So that was one of the
Nice memories.
one of the.
In
one
fact,
of the memories.
I am wearing one of these ties. Maybe not from your time, but I think your successors have also followed this practice. So we have a nice tie with the logo of BCICI, like, as you say.
Yeah. So I do have a few ties still preserved from that time,
Right.
which I would I would send them across.
Thank you.
At least as a souvenir, it will be nice. Those are 20-year-old ties. One of the things that I have talked about earlier as well is what we did in my term was we changed the constitution to make sure that every year there was a new chairperson. So there was new ideas, innovation, new blood. People came up with ideas. So there was no 2, 3 years, 4 years of one person. And I think that has really helped the chapter grow. And what you can see today, year after year, I mean, you have already set the benchmark so high, and so was, Mahesh, as well as his predecessors. So I think this amendment has helped.
I really do agree, sir. I think that was probably a master stroke, as I would call it, because that has just developed a big pool of leaders within the BCICI, unlike many of the other organizations where there are some leaders who just continue forever, I guess. You have taken us through a lot of history about the BCICI, but in line with our theme, Log into the Future, I just wanted to know from you, where would you like us, where would you like to see the chapter grow?
So much has been done by, recent teams and chairpersons. I don't think we could have asked for more. So much, tremendous. I tell you, I don't have words to say how happy I am to see where the chapter is. If we can sustain it at this level, it will be a great achievement. I would completely fail if I did not mention by name everyone who has done so well for this chapter and for our fraternity. Starting with Valu Bhai, Mani, Alok, Shaukar, Murali, Balraj, Sanjay Gupta, Minakshi, Kapil, Vivek, Uday, Sridhar, Mahesh, and of course yourself. You are working at a breakneck speed. It is impossible to keep pace. But this is really great. This is really great what you are doing, and especially with the pandemic going on. How you have turned this into an opportunity is excellent. So just keep up the good work. We can't ask for more.
Thank you, sir. But I would definitely say all of you are a big motivation to us. I don't have too many members from your time or from your team who are currently in Bahrain, but we did manage to speak to some members and some of your old colleagues. So let's just listen from them.
Dear friends, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to express my views on CA Surender Jain. As an introduction for those who do not know me, My name is CA Sangvi. I'm based out of Dubai since 2006. Before that, I was in Bahrain and I was privileged to have worked with CA Surender Jain in BCICI chapter in early 2000. I call Surender Jain a leader because my experience with him goes back to the days when we reformed the BCICI from a zero base. The chapter was then non existent. I remember assembling all our friends and colleagues from the CA fraternity. So much so that initially we spent money from our own pocket to launch this idea and got everybody in a hall hired from Kerala Samajam or Gujarati Samaj, I don't remember exactly, for BD20. That was a time when the idea was conceived successfully, and today we see BCICI being one of the most active and the vibrant chapter in the region. Surender Jain, in my eyes and views, is one of the few personalities who think way ahead of the curve. He is very calm, thoughtful, and a mature person who always encourages and supports the talent. He is open to hear new ideas and never scared of testing new territories at any time. He is a very systematic and a well organized person who listens to all ideas no matter from where it comes and no matter who suggests. He is a sincere, focused, hardworking, and a dedicated person who works without any limitations whenever needed. I would like to mention one incident that comes to my mind. I remember the first grand event that BCICI hosted in Bahrain. It was his imagination to call a famous personality to deliver a budget speech in a grand way. We were not sure how the event would be financed. We were looking for the sponsor for that event, and to our luck, we found one anchor sponsor who agreed to sponsor the event, but after tough negotiations. But those negotiations were successfully negotiated by CA Surender Jain. That event became the base and it provided a long standing credibility to the chapter. Likewise, there were many instances where we felt so privileged to have CA Surender Jain with us, as through his knowledge and experiences, we managed to take BCICI to the next level. I really admire him, not only as a close friend, but also an asset to the entire CA family. Thank you very much, friends, and I wish everyone a great success ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. I'm here to share my experience working with Surender when he was the chairman of the BCICI 2001. If my memory serves me right, in those years, there were no nominations, but it was the prerogative of the chairman who was selected in the AGM to select his team. And after Mr. Kalyanaman served 2 terms, it was Surender who took over from him. And of course, I have known Surender much before this term started, and it was very obvious for him to pick up the team where the people he knew, and he picked me up as the joint secretary. Of course, I knew Surender very well much before that, but while working with him in the team, I realized his leadership skills, a man of few words but very effective. And when he delegates something, he gives the entire responsibility and the authority to the person, which helps him to achieve his task. I served under him as assistant secretary, and in fact, I continued as a secretary in the following term when Mahavir Kothari took over. So my experience, which I am going to share, might have something out of Surender's leadership as well as some when Mahavir was there. Friends, if you remember, CP hours were not necessary then. So getting the members attending functions was a Herculean task. And if we were able to achieve attendance of 40, 50 people, it was considered a very, very good achievement. And in one of the meetings, which took place in Gulf Gate Hotel, where we achieved 75 attendance, it was considered like a record which was achieved after a very, very long time. Certain things which I remember those days, not everybody was in the email. And in my term as assistant secretary, I remember sending mails through snail mail. You can imagine having the letter typed, putting them in the envelopes, and of course going to post office to mail it. This is my vivid memory of those times, and of course, Surender will vouch for it. Earlier than that, I even attended 1986 meeting when Mr. Krishnamurthy was handling the affairs, which took place in Holiday Inn. And as of course in last meetings also he has been mentioning that was the year he established the Bahrain chapter. And I am lucky that I attended that meeting as well as continued serving the team. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
So, what do you feel listening to them?
Well, they are very kind to say these things. I don't know if I deserve this, but very kind of them. Thank you.
So we are probably at the end of the interview, but I really can't let you go before I seek some words of advice or wisdom for my young team as well as all the young members of the BCICI.
Ajay, as I said, you and your team are doing an excellent work. I don't know whether there is much advice that I can give. And as I earlier said, with the challenge of COVID-19, how you have turned this into an opportunity, the quality of literature that you are producing, quality of the newsletter and these things, it's just very professional. So it's great. It's really great. And all the innovation that you have been doing. But what I would suggest, only one thing, try to bring in some practical learning sessions for members that they can benefit from. Some tools. And I think you are already talking about some of these things. For example, Excel. Every CA uses Excel in one way or another. So if we can give some sort of sessions, people will benefit from this. And the other thing is, I would say to your team, look, destination is important. Of course, we have to have destination in mind, but you must enjoy the journey. The journey is equally important. You must enjoy the journey, right? What this committee gives you is, every CA has some leadership role in his organization. But when they come together to the committee, they are working as a team. So this is a new experience for me. I think this is something they should learn from and they should cherish. So the young team, if they come together, work as a team, this is, I think, great experience for them. And I will leave you with just one message. I don't know if you have heard the term Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. Ubuntu is an African word. An anthropologist, he was studying, a particular group in Africa of children. And he wanted to see how they behave under different conditions. One day he had some sort of, a competition for them. And, in those tribes, food is a big thing. If they get good food, it's a big thing. So he kept a basket full of fruits under the tree. And he told all those children that now you race up to there, whoever reaches first will get the fruit basket. And guess what? What they did? They held each other's arms and ran together to the tree, sat down, took the fruit, shared with each other, and enjoyed the fruits. He was shocked. He thought once, you give them an opportunity, one will try to get it. So he asked them, why couldn't you just race and get it all for you? And they said, Ubuntu. Ubuntu means, if others are not happy, how can we be happy? So the message is we have to take everyone together. And this applies to any walk of life. If you take everybody together, you will all succeed. So this is my message to the committee.
Thank you so much, sir. What a fantastic message to close our program with. Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu to the XCOM team, Ubuntu to BCICI, Ubuntu to Bahrain, Ubuntu to India, and Ubuntu to the world. That will be a fantastic world, I think. So thank you so much. Viewers, until next time, this is me, CA Kumar, Chairperson of BCICI, signing off. Bye.